It is 10:35 a.m. on May 27, 1942. Josef Gabčík steps into the road in Prague, raises his Sten gun at the approaching Mercedes, and pulls the trigger. Nothing happens. The gun jams. In the car, Reinhard Heydrich, third most powerful man in Nazi Germany, architect of the Holocaust, a man Hitler himself has called the man with the iron heart. For one terrible second, the entire operation, and the fate of thousands, hangs on a jammed firing pin. By 1942, Reinhard Heydrich is one of the most feared men alive. As head of the Reich Security Main Office, he commands the Gestapo, the SD, and the SS security apparatus across all of occupied Europe. In January 1942, he chairs the Wannsee Conference, the meeting where senior Nazi officials coordinate the industrial mechanics of the final solution. He is 37 years old. He is brilliant, cold, and utterly without mercy. Since September 1941, Heydrich has served as Reich Protector of Bohemia and Moravia, occupied Czechoslovakia. He arrives in Prague and immediately breaks the resistance. He suspends the puppet prime minister, arrests underground leaders, floods the country with public executions. Czech resistance collapses almost entirely. War production in the Skoda Arms Works surges. Berlin is delighted. In London, the Czechoslovak government in exile watches in despair. Czechoslovakia's contribution to the Allied war effort seems invisible. The country is productive, compliant, quiet, a model occupied territory. President Edvard Beneš fears that Czechoslovakia will be forgotten at the peace table. He proposes something radical: kill Heydrich. British Special Operations Executive trains 2 men for the mission: Sergeant Josef Gabčík, 27, a Slovak mechanical worker who had escaped to fight in France, then Britain, and Jan Kubis, 28, a Czech soldier with nerves like cable wire. They are dropped by parachute into Czechoslovakia on December 28, 1941. They spend 4 months preparing. They will have one chance. The plan is called Operation Anthropoid. The target is Heydrich's daily commute. Every morning, Heydrich rides from his villa in Panensk-Brezhny to Hradčany Castle. The road passes through a sharp hairpin bend in the Holsoviki district. The car must slow to nearly a crawl. It is the perfect ambush point. What makes the operation audacious is also what makes it terrifying. Heydrich is almost never guarded. He rides in an open-top Mercedes with a single driver and no armed escort. He considers himself untouchable in his own territory. He is wrong. On May 27, 1942, Gabčík and Kubis take their positions at the bend. Josef Falsik, watching from a distance, signals with a mirror as the Mercedes approaches. Gabčík steps into the road. He raises the Sten gun. He pulls the trigger. The gun jams. For a fraction of a second, Gabčík is standing in the road with a useless weapon, facing the most dangerous man in Nazi Germany. Heydrich sees him. The Mercedes stops. Heydrich stands up in the open car and reaches for his pistol. That is the moment Jan Kubis acts. From the pavement, he throws a modified anti-tank grenade. It bounces off the rear wheel arch and explodes on the road beside the vehicle. Shrapnel tears into the car door. Upholstery, horsehair, metal fragments, all of it blasts into Heydrich's left side, rupturing his spleen, fracturing a rib, puncturing his lung. Heydrich stands. He draws his pistol. He fires after the fleeing Kubis. He chases Gabčík on foot for nearly 100 meters, wounded, bleeding, operating on nothing but will, before collapsing on the road. Heydrich is rushed to the Bielovka hospital. Surgeons operate for hours. He is wounded, but alive. His spine is not severed. His vital organs, the doctors believe, can survive. In Berlin, Hitler orders Germany's finest surgeons flown to Prague. Himmler visits personally. The Reich holds its breath. For 6 days, Heydrich defies his wounds. He eats. He speaks. He asks for briefings on the situation. Himmler's personal doctor, Karl Gebhardt, oversees the treatment, and controversially chooses not to use penicillin, despite its availability, believing surgery alone will suffice. On June 3, Heydrich falls into a coma. The wound has gone septic. Horsehair and fabric from the car seat, driven deep into his body by the blast, have carried bacteria into his bloodstream. No surgery can clean what cannot be seen. On June 4, 8 days after the ambush, Reinhard Heydrich dies. He is 38 years old. The Nazi reprisals begin immediately. A reward of 10 million Reichsmarks for information. Thousands of Czechs arrested, interrogated, shot in the streets. The Gestapo sweeps Prague district by district. They find nothing, because Gabčík, Kubis, and 5 other paratroopers are hiding in the crypt of the Cathedral of Saints Cyril and Methodius in the center of the city. They have been sheltered by the Bishop of Prague, Gorazd, who knows exactly what hiding them means. He does it anyway. On June 10, 6 days after Heydrich's death, the Nazis act on intelligence provided by a captured paratrooper who broke under torture. The village of Lidice is surrounded at dawn. Every man and boy over the age of 15, 173 people, is shot in the garden of a local farm. The women are sent to Ravensbrück concentration camp. The children are assessed for Germanization. Most are gassed. The village is burned. The ruins are plowed under. The name Lidice is erased from German maps. In Prague, the Gestapo locates the hiding place on June 17. At 4:15 a.m. on June 18, 13,000 soldiers surround the cathedral. Inside, 7 paratroopers. For 6 hours they fight. They hold the nave against hundreds of soldiers. They expend every round of ammunition. They are offered surrender 3 times. They refuse each time. When the SS floods the crypt, the last survivors take their own lives. Not one is captured alive. The story of Operation Anthropoid does not have a clean victory. No prisoners are liberated. No cities are saved. No lines on a map shift because of what Gabčík and Kubis did. There is the death of one man, and then the death of a village. The question that haunts the mission, and historians ever since, is whether it was worth it. Lidice, Lizaki, hundreds of civilians executed across Bohemia, thousands arrested, the entire Czech underground network shattered, 2 extraordinary soldiers dead in a crypt, a bishop shot in the courtyard of a prison. President Beneš had calculated, correctly, that the assassination would provoke such outrage that it would unite Czech exiles internationally and guarantee Czechoslovakia a seat at the post-war peace table. He was right on all counts. The photographs of Lidice, broadcast around the world, became a symbol of Nazi brutality so powerful that villages in Mexico, Brazil, and the United States adopted the name in solidarity. The destruction of one Czech village paradoxically saved Czechoslovakia's political future. But the men who pulled the trigger, and the bishop who sheltered them, and the village that was burned, they paid a price that Beneš calculated from London. From safety. In the crypt, when the floodwaters were rising and the bullets were gone, Jan Kubis said nothing recorded by history. He had already said everything that needed saying. On the morning of May 27, on a bend in the Prague road, when a grenade changed the course of the war. Reinhard Heydrich was the highest-ranking Nazi official to be assassinated during the entire war. No other Allied operation came close. Operation Anthropoid remains the only successful targeted killing of a senior Nazi leader in World War II. Its legacy is complicated. The reprisals were catastrophic. The paratroopers died to a man, and Heydrich, for all his power, was replaced by officials who carried out his policies with equal efficiency. But the mission changed things in ways that aren't always measured in body counts. It proved that the Reich was not invulnerable, that occupied peoples could reach the untouchable, that even the man with the iron heart could bleed. It gave the Czech resistance, and occupied peoples across Europe, proof that the impossible was possible, if you were willing to pay the price. Josef Gabčík and Jan Kubis are buried in Prague today. The Cathedral of Saints Cyril and Methodius still stands. The bullet holes are still in the crypt wall. And Lidice, rebuilt after the war by volunteers from around the world, bears a name that the Third Reich tried to erase, but has never been forgotten. 1 jammed gun, 1 grenade, 1 man dead, and in the reprisals that followed, a village erased, 7 soldiers drowned in a crypt, a bishop executed. History revealed exactly what Nazi Germany was capable of, and exactly what ordinary men from Czechoslovakia were willing to sacrifice. Operation Anthropoid, the most daring assassination of World War II. Subscribe to WW2 Battlegrounds for a new story every week. The war was full of moments like this one, moments that changed everything, at a price almost no one could bear.